Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Long time no see, right? Well, today I decided to come back because I know of a really good sale that Embrilliance has going on right now until December 29th, I think it is. And I also know of a website where you get some really cool stuff that you can use with your Embrilliance software. And you can not only make things that you can sell, but you could make the files into an embroidery file and then sell those. We've been given permission by the person that made the SVGs. So what am I talking about? Well, here's one of the SVGs, and this is one of my stitch outs. Here's another beginning stitch out, and I think I finally perfected it. So I'm going to show you exactly how I went about using an SVG to make this stitch out pretty easily. So let's get started. Oh, and don't forget, check down below for my link and the coupon code. All right, let's go. Okay, here you can see the site where I purchased this thing. As you'll notice, it's $1.50. It's on sale for 6 more days, and today is the 13th of December 2024. So when I purchased it, then I got this thing that said download, and I downloaded 2 different things. I downloaded it, and then I went ahead and came to Embrilliance, and this is what I ended up with all of these steps over here. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Now this one is in case you're not going to use a cutting machine, but I highly recommend you use one if you have one. I have a portrait, I love it. I cut my fabric with it and it works perfectly, as I'll show you in a bit. So let's get started. I'll open up a new window. And I don't really know, because I'm not able to open it without different modules of Embrilliance. So I'm not exactly sure which modules I'm using. I know that I'm using a lot of them though. But I wanted to let you know that right now there's a fabulous sale going on until sometime in December. I'll have a link for you down below. And you get an extra 10% off. The products are already discounted and you get an extra 10% off. So if you don't see on your screen what I'm going to be using today, you might want to go ahead and upgrade to Stitch Artist Level 1, Level 2 if you don't have the Essentials. I think I even have Stitch Artist Level 3 and I might even be using that. But anyways, just watch, and you might get some ideas if you don't have these things, what you might ask for Christmas, or what you might be able to do in the future easily. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and go to Create Mode. And since I have Stitch Artist, I believe it is, I can come over here and say Vector. Because remember, we saved this as an SVG, or it was saved as an SVG. Here's what you got. These are my working things. This is what you got. And I'll say open it. Now here's what we have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save the parts I need to cut with my machine, with my cutting machine. So I know for one thing I want to cut with my cutting machine is the cup. And of course there's the handle that goes with. So I'm going to bring that over here also and kind of line it up like that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to want is the snowman's body. But before I get that, I want to cut out the hat. So in order to get the hat, I'm going to draw with points. And I'm just going to start right here at this edge, maybe right here. And I'll just start drawing with points. And it's not right on the line, but that's okay. We're going to fix that. And I'm going to end it, closing it with a tomato. Okay, there's what we have so far, and I'm going to use my space bar so I can move down and you can see it large. Okay, I need to do some adjusting, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this note up like this, trying to make it fit more on the line that I have there. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is just something I'm working on. It's not something I absolutely have to have. And I might want to put another node right there, and I can do that by double clicking. And let's see what happens here. I can click, there we go. And let's see. If I click here, I can move this guy down like that. Round that a little bit. And here I think I'm going to need to put another node in there like that. Okay, I'm not liking what I've done right here. So let's fix this a little bit. If you click on it and then hit delete on your keyboard, that'll get rid of it for you. Okay, that looks pretty good. This looks a little wonky right here. There we go. And maybe up here a little bit. There we go. Here a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to take the hat that I just drew, and there it is, and I'm going to right click over here in the objects panel and say move last, because I'm going to keep all of my things together that I need. So right now I have the cup with this handle, and I'm also going to right click on those and say move last. So all this stuff's going to be at the bottom. See, there's the hat and the cup and the handle. And the last thing I need is the snowman's body. And so I'll also say move that last. So then they're all down here. I don't need any of this right now, so I'm going to move it over out of my way. Okay, so now, oh, where'd my hat go? Yikes, where'd my hat go? Where's my hat? Oh, I took it over there. Didn't mean to do that. Come back, you. Select. Here it is. Okay, there's my hat. All right, so now I have these three things. The first thing, of course, you'll notice that I want to do is I want to grab the bottom, the cup, and the handle, because I want them to be one piece. And if you look over here in the objects panel, you can see I have them selected here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to where it says create, and I'm pretty sure this might be Stitch Artist Level 3. I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do with both of those selected is I'm going to come up here to where it says Logical Union. So once I have those overlapped and I say logical union, it's going to make them come together. Now, it's not going to look like anything has changed. Let me go over here so you can see better. It's not going to look like anything's changed here. However, when we look at the objects panel, you'll see that it has changed. So right now we have the mug and the handle. I'm going to come up here to Logical Union and click on that. And again, it looks like nothing's happened, but if you look over here in the objects panel, it made another piece, the union piece. So now I can get rid of this line piece and this line, and all I have is the piece that's the union. How great is that, right? I love it. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to grab all three of these pieces here, and you'll see them over here. I'm going to come up here to copy. I'm going to open up a new page, and I'm going to say right click or come up here to this little button that means paste, or I can right click and say paste. And there we have them again. Okay, so I have my three pieces that I need. I didn't want to work on that other page with all of the other things that were there. So the next thing I'm going to do, notice these are lined right now. So if I come up here to the stitch simulator, there's nothing to simulate because there aren't any stitches. So I'm going to turn these into stitches. So I'll do the hat first, and I'll have to come up here to create mode, and I'm going to change that into a run stitch. And I don't want it to be a bean as it shows over here, so I'm going to make it just a single run like that. Okay, while that's a single run stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, click on that, come down here to the color, and click on the color. And when I click on the color, it opens up this thread box. I'm going to go to Applique, and I'm going to go to Applique Position, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add 1.5 millimeters. Just remember to do that. That's a starting point. Try that originally. That's my inflation. I'm going to inflate it by 1.5 millimeters. And I'm going to say save. So what that's going to do, it's going to save me a scalable vector graphic, a scalable thing that I can cut with my cutting machine. So I'm just going to say hat for YouTube. Okay, so that's my hat for YouTube, and I'm going to save it. Well, maybe I'll name it YouTube hat so they'll all stay together. YouTube hat, and say save. And I can ignore this and just say okay and get rid of that. Then I'm going to do the same thing to this, which is the body of the snowman. And I'm going to go over here again. I'm going to change it to a run. I'm going to change it from a bean. That's because that's probably what I used last. I'm going to make it a single run. I'm going to come to color, click on the color chip. When this box opens up, I'm going to click on Applique. I'm going to change it from not Applique to Applique position. And I'm going to inflate it again by 1.5 millimeters. And I'm going to save it. And that is going to be my YouTube body. And I'm going to save. Notice it's saving it as an SVG. I'll say OK and get rid of that. The last one I'm going to do is this. And I'm going to come up, whoops, I'm going to come up here and change it to a run stitch. And it's a bean again. I want to change it just a single stitch. And I'm going to come to the color tab, click on it, and again I'll click on Applique. Again it says not Applique, but I want to change it to Applique position. I'm going to inflate the cutting inflate by 1.5 millimeters. Whoops, yeah, there we go. And I'm going to say save. And notice we have so far YouTube body, it's an SVG. Remember, we can cut those on our cutting machines. YouTube hat, SVG. And now I'm going to have YouTube, what is it? Body hat, mug. And I'll save it. And say OK and cancel this out. So that just means what's going to happen now if we come to the stitch file. Let's see. Let's put all of these guys. We're on our hoop. So I'm putting them together. Okay, and then I want to put the hat on there. Perhaps scroll in a little bit so I can see. Use my space bar and I can move this down easily. So it needs to be moved a little bit more down. Okay, and maybe a tiny bit up. There we go, that's good. So that looks perfect to me. Okay, so what's going to happen now? Let's look and see. It's going to do, actually I want it to do the thing on the bottom first. So I'm going to click on this one and say move first. Then it's going to do the middle thing, and I want to move this earlier. Oops, move, right click and move earlier. So now what it's going to do, it's going to do the show me the placement for the mug, show me the placement for the body, and show me the placement for the hat. Watch. Let's go up here to the Stitch Simulator, and it's going to do the placement for the mug. And it's going to stop and let me put the mug on there. And it's going to be easy. I don't need a tack down stitch because it's going to stick because of my Steam Seam Light 2. And I can even use a little iron on it to press it. I have other videos that show that more in depth. Then it's going to do this one. And again, I'll put that on there and tack it down with my iron. And lastly, this. Okay, I just wanted to input this in here. The product that I use is called Light Steam Seam 2. I love this stuff. I also use Terial Magic. Now this stuff isn't cheap, but it'll save you a lot of headaches, a lot of tears, and I've tried several times without using it, and I did not have the good results that I always get, which you'll see here. Okay, as you can see, I've already taken this back piece off of the red hat, and you can see the line here where I'm supposed to place the hat. Okay, so I can know exactly where to place it by those lines right there. And I've got to get it centered on there perfectly so it covers up those stitching lines. Then I just give it a little press and I'm ready to go back. Okay, here we are, and we've already cut out all the pieces. I already have them on my big piece of fabric because, as I showed, I made the placement stitches and then I ironed those little pieces on, and now I'm ready to do the final bits of the applique. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this by draw with points. Maybe this isn't the way that you would do it, but you know what? As we've said for like 10 years now, there are more than one way. There's many ways to skin a cat. That's an old-timey saying. Many ways to do something. If they all work, fine. So I'm going to draw with points, come up here to, not to the Stitch Simulator, I'm going to go to my Create mode, and to draw with points. And I think I'll just start right here at this part, and I'm going to click. I'm just clicking regular. All I'm doing is the outline now. When I'm getting here, I'm going to hold down my Shift key because I want to change that to a different type of a node, and then I'm going to come back out. I'm going to hold down my Shift key because I want that to be, see how that makes a line in there? And that allows me to make an angle. So I'm going to hold Shift, angle, and no shift, maybe a shift, and there. Oh, I should have done a shift there. And I'm just going to go around the outer edge of this, as I said. That's all I'm doing, outer edge. Sometimes I'm holding down the Shift key if I want to have an angle. Right here, I'd like an angle, so I'm going to hold down my Shift key, and that allows me to angle back out. Shift, angle back out. Whoops, I went way off on that one. Shift, angle out, shift, shift, no shift, shift, there, and I'm going to come up here to the tomato to close it off. Now, as you can see, it's not perfect, so that's when I learned to manipulate my nodes. So I can come right here, like if I scroll in, we can see better. And I'll use my key, or my space bar. Let's start down here at the bottom. So let's see if we can get this to line up a little bit better on these lines that we have, because it's important, because this is going to be where the stitching goes for my satin stitch. So I'm going to go over this way now. See how this is doing. Okay, I need to bring that in a little bit. That's pretty good. Okay, bring this in a little bit. Now let's see. Here we go. So all I'm doing is manipulating these a little bit at a time. Whoopsie, I don't want to do it like that. There we go. And I'm hitting my space bar again. That allows me to to move where I'm working. So I'm trying to get those lines to go on the other lines. There we go. If I need to add another node or another point, I can do that by double clicking. Like, watch, if I wanted to put one right here, double click and it makes one right there like that. But I think I'll get rid of that one by hitting delete on my keyboard and see what I can do right here. I can move this down like that. That looks pretty good, but the rest of it looks messy, icky. Now see what this is? This is a curve. And if I want to change that to one that's going to be a cusp, that'll be a point, I can right click on it and say cusp. And now that's going to allow me to move one of these sides but not the other. See how that works? So I can move one side and not the other. Okay, let's see. Put this here. And I can move this one. There we go. Up here. And I'm trying to be pretty careful because this is going to be, as I said, where my satin stitches are going to go, and I want them to stay on those lines. See that? Okay. Oopsie. So I want to make sure they cover that line. I'm going to turn off 3D though. Again, I'm going to come up here. It's off the line here. There we go. Okay, up. What I should have done, what I should have done was, this is the line I'm working on. What I should have done, and I forgot to tell you this, was take these three, one, hold down my control, 2 and 3, and I should have locked them. So I could not move them at all. And all that I can move is the line, this line. So hopefully I was only moving the line I wanted to. So remember to do that, to make it so that the only line you can move is the one that's going to be your line out here, that's going to be your satin stitch. Okay. Down. So then, even if I wanted to, I couldn't move those other ones now, which I should have done. Again, you want to lock them so that you're not able to move them. Don't want to move that. Move that a little bit. I'm going to put another node right there. So you can fast forward through this if you feel like I'm taking too long. I'm not the fastest person when it comes to this. I enjoy it though. It's just kind of fun to do. Just, all you're doing is trying to get these lines to kind of match up. Okay, let's assume that this is all done and we've done it exactly like we would like it. So this is the line that's going all the way around our snowman, and I'm going to change that line from just a line, and I'm going to come up here to where it says Applique, and I'm going to change it to an applique. Right now I have it at a satin stitch, and I think I'll make the width 4.0. Okay, so there it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to make a line here and a line here and this thing. So again, I would just draw with points, start here, and just draw with points this, stay on as best I can, and do the same thing again. I'm sure you don't want to watch me do that again. But once I'm done and I have it all lined up nicely, I would go to the applique button again and change that to an applique. Then I'm going to do this part of his hat, draw with points, start here, draw with points, 4, right click to end it, and again adjust it so it's on the line, change it to the satin stitch, and then we have this thing to do right here, same thing. When I come down here, I might want to hold my shift to make it a cusp, and come up here and then close it, and again manipulate it so that it fits right there on those where I want it to be. Let's pretend I've done that, and I will change it to an applique. So there we have it. It could be done, except for I don't like the way it's done, because what I want to have happen is I want this stitch to happen last, the whole thing that goes around the whole guy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on that and say send last. Now why would I want to do that? Let's look and see. Maybe we can tell by the stitch simulator. Okay, so here it goes. It's doing all the way around, and then it's going to do these pieces. And what I want to have happen is I want this piece to cover any weird end right here, or a weird end here, or here, or here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to create mode, and I'm going to change this. So this is the last thing I do. So I'm going to click on the applique word and say move last. Okay, so if that's last, then I can have it do this first, and then that, and then that. But notice these red lines here, these are my jump stitches. So I can make my jump stitches a lot shorter by doing this. If I'm going to start here, well, let's start at this thing first. So I'm going to, if I want to drag this up a little bit, I just drag it and put it on top of the one I want it below. So that would be first, that's that thing. Then the next thing I might like is this thing, and then his hat. So if this is first, it's going to start and stop here, which is fine. Then it's going to go to this. Notice that this starts, remember the green bows show where it starts? So that one, this one is going to stop here. It's going to have a jump stitch all the way over to here and then start stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the bow tie over to here, and notice now my jump stitch is gone. Okay, now we are going to go up here next, so there is going to be a jump stitch, but what I think I'll do with this thing is I'll have the bow tie for the ending be over here, so the jump stitch will be over here. So let's see how this is going to stitch out. Let's look at the stitch simulator. So it's going to do the placement stitch, then the placement stitch for the body, then the placement stitch for the hat. Okay, and then it's going to do this satin stitch, then it's going to do this satin stitch, then it's going to do this satin stitch, then it's going to do the whole thing again, the whole satin stitch all the way around it. So that's all there is to it, to making our snowman. Now if you want to go back, let's see, right here we can go here where the original picture was. Let's see if we can find one. Okay, if I want to copy, and I'll take this and I'll right click and paste. So there's this little thing, and I could put this right in here. And what I did on mine was, see right now it's a run stitch, and so I can leave it as a run stitch if I'd like, and maybe I want to change its color, which I made mine a different color. Let's just make it red for fun. red. There we go. And what I did on mine was I didn't want it to be just a plain old run stitch, so I came up here to the create mode and I changed it to a bean stitch with 3 passes. So my run is a bean with 3 passes. Okay, I could make it a satin stitch if I wanted, which is way too big right now because notice they all run together, but I'm just going to leave it as a bean stitch like that. And we can let's make it 3D. There we go, the bean stitch. And then of course there's a little thing that goes right here. Right here I'm going to hold down my shift key because I'm going to make that go in there. And then I'm going to close that off. And I'm going to make that a fill stitch. I filled it with red. Now let's look at that now. Might I want to do that before I do all this run right here, right? This applique stitch. So that the edge does not look like this. See how it's on top of that? But if I move this up and put it up here, notice now it's going to be under that, which is, I think, looks a lot better. Okay, like that. And of course my whole thing would be black. Let's see, now the eyeballs, of course, I can make those with just this little circle, and I can draw a circle like that, and I can do a fill. And if I like the way that looks, if it's not too big, I think I'll change the color of it to, let's see if we have a black in our palette. Yep, black. Okay. So there's one eyeball. It's a little large still. I can make it smaller. And then I can copy and paste it by coming up here to copy and paste. Then I have a second one that I can drag over. Oopsie. I need to get bigger. So there we go. Now I can see. Put it over there. Put this one over here. And again, I could just go ahead and trace over what they've done. It was actually just like a little triangle for the nose. So if I could do so I draw with points. I'm going to start here. Start. Going to hold down my shift key to make a cusp or a point. Cusp. Cusp. And then I'm going to end it. So there is a carrot nose, and I can fill it and make it orange. That says that says peach. How about peach? Okay. So let me move it up a little bit. And of course I can make it larger if I want to. But that looks fine. And then I could do his little mouth. Make him have a little smile. And I can change that to a run. And I can make it a bean stitch so it shows up better. Whoopsie. Undo. Go back. Let's see. Backspace. And make it a bean. Okay, and that's a bean stitch. And make it maybe a different color. I'll make it. Maybe I want it to be a chain stitch. Okay, and I'll make it a different color. I'll make it red also. I know I have red in my palette. There we go. If I want. Okay, so anyway, you get the idea, and let me show you again basically what mine looks like without having the extra parts added to it. Well, thanks again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed learning how to turn an SVG into a applique file easy peasy. Let me show you one more from the same website, the same Etsy site. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but they have really neat stuff. Let me show you one more. It's a challenge. See if you can do this one on your own.